Hi, teacher. Good afternoon.
Hello, Annelise. Good afternoon. Sorry, I was sending the link to your partner. Sometimes I cannot find it. So I did it. We're going to start. As always, I'm going to show you what the parameters are going to be for this specific presentation. All right. And then we're going to start with it. So let me share my screen with you and show you that the parameters are going to be the three main ones, the ones I mentioned, which are this one, right? Introduction, body, and conclusion. Easy, right? It's going to be like if you have your question, right? Which is the best, or which is the easiest, or the hardest? You have a part of this 33. If you answer yourself to that question and let us know what your option is, the best option, you have more points. And if you give us the benefits or the reasons that you're going to talk about in the presentation, then you have the 33, right? Here is like easier. You're going to have the 33 if you develop those things that you mentioned here, right? If you mention 10 benefits and here in the body, you explain those 10 benefits, you give examples, or you in a certain way develop those benefits, you have the 33 points here. And the last 33 is, as I told you, the last 1 minute could be 1 minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes maximum of the last summary of everything you mentioned. It's like the conclusion, right? But also it's like in the introduction, but in other words, right? But in other words, you can say, and that's why I believe that this is the best option due to these benefits and so on and so forth. 5 points that is going to be for pronunciation, extra if it's needed, and 5 other points, of course, that is related to asking questions to your fibers. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm still receiving some messages from your partners, but do you have any questions to start with, Annelise and Maria Elena? Let me know, please.
No, it's okay, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Thank you. So I think, I don't know if Jaime is here. I think Jaime is going to. Okay, perfect. So let's begin. I want to ask you this first. If not, one of you is going to start, but Annelise, Maria Elena, who of you is like ready to start?
I can start, teacher.
Okay, there you go. So you can share your screen. Don't forget to tell me. As soon as you tell me that you're ready, I'm going to start the stopwatch and you're going to begin.
Can I be the second one, teacher?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's perfect, Maria Elena.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Okay.
You can see?
Yes, that's perfect. I can see your camera and your presentation. There you go. Okay, so as soon as you're ready, Annelise, you tell me and I start the stopwatch and you can start.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. So go ahead, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, teacher and mates. Today I'm going to expose about craft beer versus industrial beer. And I am Annelise Nirvana Guzman Ayub. I divide my presentation in 3 parts that are introduction, craft beer versus industrial beer, and conclusion. Introduction. There is a big difference between craft beers and industrial beers. In a first approach, it can be said that artisan beer is art. It is virtuosity and exclusivity. Craft beer is the result of a judgment of a brewer's master. That is why in the world of craft beer, it can be possible to play with imagination, something that does not happen with conventional beer, whose objective is to produce thousands of liters to maximize incomes. Introduction. There are several reasons why I decided to craft beer, and these are ingredients, aroma, flavor, production, fermentation, price, and quality. Craft beer versus industrial beer. The first is ingredients. The proportion is higher in craft beers. Craft beer only contains water, malt, hops, and yeast. However, industrial beers also has brewing adjuncts such as rice, corn, among others. Craft beers do not use any artificial additives like colorants or conservants. Like we can see in the image, we can see that the commercial beer has less ingredients than a craft beer. For example, if we are brewing industrial beer, for example, a Wari or Paseña, we only need one type of malt, water, yeast, and hops. And if we are brewing a craft beer, we need more than one malt. For example, we can use maybe three or eight, five and more types of malt. And we use hops, yeast, and water. And they use less hops than a craft beer, and only one or two malts. Quality and price. In relation to quality, price, craft beer sells you quality, not quantity. And the craft beer using premium ingredients. I was talking about, for example, industrial beer here in Cochabamba costs around 6 to 9 bolivianos, and a craft beer it can cost like 10 to 14, 15 bolivianos if are national, but if are international, it can be to cost more or less 30, 25 or 30 bolivianos. And there are a lot of difference because of the ingredients and the process too. Aroma and flavor. Craft beer has more peculiar colors and more variety. In craft beers, aromas are intense and the flavors are well defined. That's why more and more consumers value craft beer tastings and product quality. This is really important because industrial beer, the people usually drinks for refresh, but you don't have intense aromas and flavors, and it can be like water with some flavors, but not high flavors. And craft beers are really intense. You can feel different aromas. For example, you can feel chocolate if it's a dark beer. You can feel chocolate. You can feel cafe. You can feel toffee if it's a light beer. You can feel toasted bread. You can feel the malt, literally the malt. and maybe in some beers, depend of the type of malt that they use, you can feel another type of flavors. And in aroma, for example, with hops, you can feel a frutas like banana, citrus, and you can feel another types of fruits. Fermentation and production. The production of the craft beer is customized by the brewer. The type of fermentation used for artisanal beer can be lager, ale, or spontaneous, unlike the industrial one that is lager. The industrial beer normally produce lager beers because I was talking, the cost is really, it's really, it's less than, the cost is less than a craft beer because of the ingredients, because they use less ingredients, and the fermentation of a lager or an industrial, it's more longer, but they produce more quantity, more liters than a craft beer. For example, they can produce like 10 million of liters, and a craft beer only like, it can be to 50 liters to 10,000 liters, more or less. Conclusion. Because of all that information, I choose craft beer. The most important aspects for craft beer are quality, ingredients, aroma, flavor, production, and fermentation. And this is a phrase that life is too short to drink cheap beer, and this is anonymous. And I want to add that craft beer have more nutrients, like comparing with industrial beer, because the craft beer you don't filter, and industrial beer you filter. And in industrial beer, they add conservants and colorants. This is why the craft beer is more natural, and I think that nowadays the clients are looking for a product that can be more natural than another product that have this type of things like colorants, conservants, and you can have a product with this type of products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annelise. All right, so let's start analyzing everything. I'm stopping this. Yes, very close to the time we set, right? I have here, because I think I started this a little bit later, it says 9:22, but I think it was closer to that. So it's even closer to the 10 minutes. All right. Now, in terms of time, then we are okay. Now we're going to be analyzing those little things that, this presentation is in the chat. You can check the information over there. It's going to be based only on the parameters that I was talking about at the beginning. All right. I wrote some other details, but this time I'm only going to focus on those three things. Remember, introduction, body, and conclusion. And in those parts, right, I'm going to analyze certain things. For example, there was an introduction. Yes, there was. You have you like stated a question, perhaps as an embedded question, but you did state a question, Annelise, and the answer, of course, that you chose one. So you had that. Also, benefits or reasons. Yes, at the beginning you mentioned some. These are some things that perhaps the words were using differently. You said something like, we can see in this imagine, something like that you said, right? But it's going to be image, right, or picture. And the next word that is going to be peculiar. Okay, two things that I know that I wrote there, but and the last one also, it's more longer. No, just one, right? It's going to be it's longer, only longer, without the more. Then in the body, if we can go again, please, to your presentation a little bit, Annelise, and if you can go to the introduction.
Yes.
All right. Okay, yes. Now let's go to the intro, please. And something very, very simple. The next one. Okay, there you go. So I think in this part, in the last part in which you are mentioning the reasons, right, why you chose one over the other one, we have many here. And I think perhaps in the explanation, you were kind of putting some of them together, right, if I'm not wrong. If we go, let's go now to the body, please, Annelise, to the development, the points that you were able to develop. Okay, we have one there. Let's go to the next one, please. Okay, there you go. The next one. Okay, and I think there's one more, right? Which is
Yes.
the last one. Okay, there you go. So that's why. So you mentioned in separate groups, right? Price, quality, and so on. But you explained perhaps in pairs, which is not bad. That's why I saw, right, that you had many benefits, but only 4 reasons. And I said, I think something is missing. But no, you were showing me again, and indeed you were like merging, right, the reasons in pairs. So that's great. Okay, no problem with that. As you can see, that's why I wrote here there, body 1, 2, 3, and 4, because I was able to see 4 explanations there, but I see that 2 of them are in each, so it's great. And in the conclusion, you also did what you need to do. So in, well, briefly, you did everything you needed to do, Annelise. Good work because of that. I think also it was clear, right, why you chose one over the other one, the benefits or the reasons that make one perhaps better in a certain way than the other, right? That will be everything. Now I'm going to give, if you have any comments, Annelise, or any concerns, let me know. And Andrea, Viviana, and Maria Elena, please, you know that you also have these extra points for asking questions. And at least I want you to ask, please, 1 question each and 2 in total, please. Andrea, Viviana, and Maria Elena.
At your conclusion, you tell us which one of the beer do you prefer? Did you prefer?
Craft beer.
Craft beer. Why?
Because you have like 150 types of beers that you can prove and you can taste. And in industrial beer, you only have maybe 5 or 6 types of industrial beers that are really that don't have intense aromas and flavors, that are only beverage to refresh, but you can't enjoy too much because of that there are really lights.
Okay, so the craft beer, it's like has a better flower.
Yes, it has more flavors, has more aromas, has more varieties. You can find light beers, you can find red beers, dark beers, beers with taste with cafe or chocolate, or maybe toffee. You can taste acid beers. You can taste fruit beers with fruits or with another species, and it's really long. the world of craft beer.
Okay. Okay.
You're welcome. Teacher, your microphone is off.
Thank you, Annelise. All right, so thank you. I was saying thank you both. Now, one more question, please. It can be Andrea or Viviana. Just one more question. I think the answer was really clear. About anything, please, related to the presentation, the comparison between craft and industrial beer, or something you want to know about Annelise, as you did the last presentation that she had. What do you say, Andrea or Viviana, please? One more question. All right, so let me choose one this time. Okay, so Viviana, what about you? What question can you make to Annelise related to this presentation?
What do you think about the Bolivian industrial beers?
Mhm.
I think that are in a good way, but we are little comparing with another craft beers in the world. In Bolivia are like 150 microbreweries, and in Cochabamba more or less 25, but we have problems with quality. But I think that in this moment it is the boom or craft beer, and I want to so now I am opening a brewery, and the first objective that I have is to promote the craft beer and show the good things that have this beverage. But I think that that we are racing in Bolivia with the craft beer.
All right, so thank you very much for asking, for answering. At least those answers were clear. It's really interesting, right? The word, as you said, of craft beer is really, really like broad. The number of like different aromas that you can right obtain, the flavor that you can obtain is something that has no comparison with industrial beer, right? And as you're mentioning in Bolivia, perhaps this is something that people want, right? They want to try perhaps craft beer because it's something different. They may be tired of the same old kind of beer, right? That they have this industrial beer. So that's really interesting. So I think we're going to finish with that. Thank you very much, Annelise. And we're going to go with the next one. If you don't have any questions, that's it, Annelise. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher and mates.
Perfect. So Maria Elena, you said that you wanted to continue. So let's go with you, please.
Yes, teacher, thank you. Okay. Wait, I don't know if we're aquí. Okay.
Perfect. So I can see your camera and your presentation as well, Maria Elena.
Okay. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. The topic that wait, I'm going to this. Okay, better. The topic that I'm going to talk to you now is about almond versus cow milk. Well, it's almond milk better for you than cow milk? Not too long ago, the only thing you could expect to draw your cereal your cereal in was whole cow milk, but now cow milk comes in a sort of varieties. For example, 2%, 1% skim that is fat free, and even lactose free milk. And also for people with dietary or allergy concern, there are also alternative to cow milk. There is the almond, soy, rice, or even the coconut milk. That is, they are popular plant-based milk alternative. So first, I'm going to talk about the cow milk. Whole milk has the highest fat content of all the types of milk. For example, now this is like just an explanation about a cup of contain about of cow milk. Well, 1 cup of milk has 150 calories, 12 grams of carbohydrate in the form of lactose, that is the milk of the sugar, and 8 grams of fat, and also has 8 grams of protein. Well, none of the milk natural components are removed. So this is one of the things that we should know about the milk when we heard about the, for example, this other, where is the lactose free, for example. And as you can see, whole milk is high in natural protein, fat, and calcium. Milk sold, for example, in United States or everywhere is usually fortified with vitamin A and vitamin D. Okay. Other cow milk has the same amount of carbohydrate and protein, with some or all of the fat removed. While wool milk has 150 calories in 1 cup, 1% of milk has 110 calories, and skim milk has just 80 calories. So, as you can see, when it's not all the calories gone. So this is some important that we should know when we don't know which milk we should have to buy. Fat-free milk is significantly lower in calories than whole milk. However, the removal of fat decreases the amount of certain nutrients in the milk, including vitamins E and K. Wait, me teacher. I know it's so noisy. Wait, me teacher. Okay, teacher, sorry. Wait, where I was. Okay. Okay. Well, pros of cow milk. Well, whole milk can provide essential protein, extra calories from fat, and as well as vitamins and minerals. Lactose-free versions are available for people who have a lactose intolerance, and cow milk, including grass-fed and low-head pasteurized option. The cons of cow milk: whole milk is high in calories and fat, and many people are intolerant to lactose and sugar found in milk. Some people also have ethical concern about modern dairy farming practice. Well, now I'm going to talk about a little bit of almond milk, which is made from ground almond and filtered water. It may also contain starches and thickeners to improve its consistency and shelf life. People who are allergic to almonds or nuts should avoid almond milk. In this case, if the people eat, there exists another milk which can like you can check if you have this allergy. Almond milk is a typical lower calories than other milk, as long as it's unsweetened. It also free unsaturated fat and is natural lactose free. But here, even though almonds are good as source of protein, almond milk is not. So almond milk is also not a good source of calcium. But however, many brands here in the United States and everywhere, they supplement with calcium and vitamin A and vitamin D when they are like doing the process of this almond milk. So this is something important that we should know. But if you see, the almond has the calcium, but when the process starts, it's like the calcium of this milk going. Pros of almond milk: it's low in calories. It's typically fortified to be a good source of calcium, vitamin A and D. It's vegan and natural, lactose free. Cons of almond milk: it's not a good source of protein. It's made of carotene. Carotene. I don't remember the pronunciation. But which may cause digestion issues in some people. For example, in my case, I have the carotene. Also, when I'm eating the almond and when I'm drinking the milk, the almond milk. And the other cons is there are some environmental concern about the amount of water used to cultivate almonds. In conclusion, each type of milk has its disadvantages and these disadvantages, but everything depends on the person diet, health, or even their nutritional needs or personal taste preference. For example, some people may be intolerant to dairy milk and may need to choose the plant-based alternative. And alternatively, those who may need to boost their calorie and nutrients intake may opt for whole milk, which is a concentrated source of protein, fat, and calories. For example, in my case, I have this conclusion because it exists sometime when I'm on a diet, so I have to decide to drink the almond milk because it doesn't have so much carbohydrate. But in these times when we are with this COVID, in my family we decide to drink the cow milk because has a lot of vitamins and also protein. And that's everything.
Thank you, Maria Elena. Let me stop this. Okay, this time we're close to 9 minutes. All right, I started a little bit late again, but it's not more than 15 to 20 seconds, so it's like 9 minutes. And again, with that, I think we are right. Just to remind you, okay, to remind you all before going to the feedback and everything. And again, Maria Elena, you can check the details in the chat. But before going there, remember that the last presentation is on Monday and it has to be, right, 15 minutes. If it's less than that time, then it's going to affect a little bit of the score. Okay?
Okay,
so,
teacher, the structure of the last presentation is going to be the same like this?
Yes, exactly. And actually, I'm just going to teach you one more detail that is going to be on Friday. We're going to keep practicing. That's going to be added. But on Monday, like everything we did is going to be evaluated. This is structure, all right? Remember, we had some strategies at the beginning, like paraphrasing, like using some synonyms and not using Spanish, okay? All those things are going to be evaluated, but this is going to be the same structure. All right. Now, in terms of the structure, Maria Elena, I think again, it was there. You had that question at the beginning that you like put it very, very clearly. All right. That was really positive. You had your question, right? Which one is better? Or if you wanted to know if it's better than this other one, right? If we can go to that part exactly, right? Is this better than this other thing? So you have very clearly what's the question over there. But what perhaps was not that clear, and in this case, I understand the neutral perhaps position, right? Because it's better, of course, in many presentations, it's always going to be better. Here, perhaps we need to be a little bit more concrete in terms of the answer that we have. In this case, Maria Elena, and in this part, which is your like tendency, your inclination? Are you for which one, almond milk or the cow's milk? Which one is the one you'd say that is better?
I don't know. I
Right?
think
And
it depends on I don't know on what I'm doing,
exactly,
but I prefer the cow milk
cow milk.
because
Okay,
I grow the with drinking
okay,
cow
yes.
milk. So
All right, yes, and in the conclusion, you made that clear, right? You said that it depends on many things. And of course, they have to consider those details that you gave because your development, more than talking about benefits and reasons, it was more pros and cons. And that's also positive because that's a way of showing perhaps which one is the best. But one little thing that we're going to change there, and again, you have the structure and everything, but just to follow this idea of the top of the structure, we're going to try to be on the side of only one of them. Even if the other one, right, is going to be positive for us and so on, right? Again, it's always best to be neutral, to find pros and cons and everything. But in this case, for the presentation on Monday, I'm going to ask you to choose one specific topic, but you have to be cited, okay, in only one option. Even if the other one can be as good, you're going to let us know because it's better for me, or the reasons that you told us, right? You said that you are used to drinking this kind of milk, so it's going to be hard to get used to this other one. So you can explain that. But again, the question and the structure of the introduction is perfect. The only thing that I would add for the final presentation is that it needs to have a more concrete answer, in the sense that you're in this side, on the other side. All right. The development is great. You can
okay,
also do that in the development if you want, Maria Elena, no problem. But of course, you're going to try to find a little bit more pros for the
okay,
option that you chose, and
okay,
a little bit more cons for the option that you're not choosing. All right, that's
okay,
the only thing that I would
okay.
change.
So
All right.
at my conclusion, I have to decide which one of my option I prefer.
No, actually, you have to do that at the very beginning, Maria Elena, in your introduction. It's like you give your answer, you talk about a little bit about those two things, like you're doing here, which is perfect, but do that at the beginning. At the beginning, said, I believe that this one is better because of the following reasons. All right, that has to be in the introduction because with that answer, you're going to let us know what are going to be the benefits that you're going to mention or what are going to be the pros that you're going to mention. All right,
Okay.
I prefer to drink this milk because it has these pros. All right, and your development is going to be about those pros or those benefits. And of course, you can make a comparison with the cons or with the other pros of the other milk. All right, that's more or less the idea. And the conclusion is only like restating the introduction. You can say, and that's why, right? And because of all those reasons and all that that you mentioned, is that I believe that this one is better. So you mentioned two times your answers, Maria Elena, but you have to mention it at the beginning in the introduction and at the end to give us the real idea of why you chose that. All right. So that's more or less the idea over there. I don't know if you have any final questions. As you can see in the chat, you have everything detailed. You have everything there, the intro, the question. As you can see in parentheses, it says not clear which one is the best option for you at the beginning because that was the structure, right? But the way you did it, it's also great because you're showing the best things that all of them have. Then something that I was going to correct, at least in terms of this American English, it's going to be this variety, alternatives, right, with this stress over there. And those things that you were saying, right, exists. And then you mention like a phrase or a sentence. I think that's going to be a little bit too Spanish, right? So instead of that, it's better if you give your idea first and then the word exists. All right, that's going to be a little bit more organized. And then the word that you were saying is better if you can use, for example, this one, right? Wait for me or hold on. Those are very, very well used. All right. And in the body, all right, you have the comparison with both. What you did, I was explaining that, and the conclusion is what you did at the end. And of course, the summary. And what was very interesting about your your conclusion is that you made kind of a reflection, because you said it depends on a certain thing, right? If you have this, or if you want this or that. So it was like a reflection at the end. So it's really positive, just those things that you want or you have to take into account, Maria Elena. Do you have any final questions or concerns? Please let me know.
No, teacher, just it was kind of difficult to decide what
Yeah,
topic should I have to talk.
yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, of course, it's even going to be harder when you have the options to decide which one is going to the one you're going to choose, right? But you can even go to simple, very simple topics. All right, perhaps that's going to be even more simpler to do and simpler to choose. Now, the same, please, Andrea and Elise and Viviana. I want you to ask only one question to Maria Elena, please. Let's begin with you this time. Annalise, yes, I was going to say.
Yeah, I have a question, teacher. Do you know how many glasses of cow's milk replace a glass of almond milk or vice versa?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. Do you know how many glasses of cow's milk replace a glass of almond milk or vice versa?
Well, I think I was talking about the nutritional, the everything that have the almond milk and the cow milk, and one of those has, for example, the almond milk doesn't have the same val. How do you say this? The wait, the uh, wait. The nutrition value. Sorry, are you listening to me? Ah, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And for example, a cow milk has like 8 grams of protein, and almond milk just have 1 gram of protein. So that is something important that we should know. For example, when you are making a diet, it's good to take this almond milk because doesn't have so much carbohydrate, but doesn't have too much protein. So I think it's depend on what do you want to do. For example, when I'm going to the gym, I want to gain more volume, so I have to take more protein. So in this case, I'm going to prefer to drink the cow milk. But if I'm a little bit fat, obviously I'm going to prefer to take this almond milk. You know, it has a lot of difference. It has a lot of nutritional value. When I was looking the Google, I was like surprising because I didn't know a lot of thing about almond milk. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Maria Elena.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think it's interesting because what you were saying, right? I think there are some ingredients, this nutritional value that you're talking about, but there are not like present in one of those kinds, right? So it doesn't
Exactly.
matter if you drink 1 or 10 glasses of milk on one,
Uh-huh.
it's not going to be the same as the other one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on what you want.
Exactly. For example, now, because most people are like trying to have this life, healthy life.
Mhm.
They just took this almond milk, but the cow milk has a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, has a lot of protein. So this thing doesn't have the almond milk. But you can but at the same time you can lose weight, but you don't have the nutritional value that you need when you are
Okay.
losing weight.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Maria Elena. One more question, please. I'm going to ask on the side. It can be Andrea this time. One question, please, to Maria Elena, Andrea.
Mm, I don't know. Do you look for another type of milk like cocoa or I don't know, another types?
Yes, I was looking also for wait, where is this? Soy milk,
Mhm.
and also for the rice milk, coconut milk. So there exists a lot of kind of milk. So and each one has their nutritional value. So I think it's important to know about this. For example, in my family, I have an aunt who is allergic to cow milk,
Mhm.
and she started to took this almond nut. But when the time passed, she started to have like a headache. I don't know what is the name when you can see the light. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
and she started to think that the almond milk started to make this headache. So she left that and she started to took the coconut milk. So, but
Okay.
no one milk uh can how is this world when you want to replace, is it okay to say,
Yes, you can
replace
say replace or substitute
yeah, replace the cow milk,
cow milk.
yeah,
Okay.
because the nutritional values.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's it. Thank you very much, Maria Elena. Again, this is really interesting because yes, we're always looking for different things to do or different things to drink, to eat, because we are in an era, right, in which we want to be healthy, right? We don't want to drink or eat things that have a lot of fat, as for example we have in this cow milk. But of course, if we stop drinking that kind of milk, we have other benefits that we're losing, right? So we have to be careful with all that. Great.
Yes.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Maria.
teacher, sorry, I tell you that I am an instructor by Zumba. So
Yeah.
at 7 a.m. I have to do a class. I have to give a class. I don't know if I can leave the class.
Okay. Okay. Don't worry with that, Maria Elena. It's going to
Okay,
be okay.
teacher.
On Friday, but I'm going to be waiting for you to have the last class.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
I'm going to see the record video, so
All right.
don't worry about that.
There you go. Thank you, Maria Elena.
Thank
So
you,
let's
teacher.
go with the next one, please. It can be Andrea or Viviana. Who wants to continue?
I could do my presentation.
Okay, let's go, please, Andrea. Let's go with you.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes, Andrea, I can see your camera in your presentation very well.
So topic is which diet has the least environmental impact in our planet? Vegan, vegetarian, or omnivorous diet? Vegans are the ones that not include products for animal origin. Vegetarian diets include milk, dairy products, and eggs, but not animal meat. And omnivorous, the one that base their diet, including all type of food. Um, in my opinion, the best diet is an omnivorous diet, but if we don't reduce meat consumption, this will not be our decision in the long term, but I think it will become something mandatory. According to the United Nations, the world population will grow to 9 billion people by 2015. This corresponds to an increase of almost 30% from the current population of 7 billion. So I'm gonna mention some of the benefits that, I mean, I should choose a omnivorous diet like the best one, but I also want to uh, highlight the benefits for reducing meat consumption. Uh, for example, reduce greenhouse gas emissions and reduce use of animal resources like land, water, and fossil energy. There is one article that explains of a way to measure benefits of reducing meat consumption. There is not a method, a specific method for doing uh, this measure, but you can estimate by indicators. Here it takes account three main indicators that are, how I mentioned, greenhouse gas emissions, land use, and water footprint. So greenhouse gas emissions regarding is the first beneficial, o sea, if we reduce meat consumption, we can reduce emitting greenhouse gas. So greenhouse green gas emissions. This is important to the because of the carbon footprint. Red meat production normally generates 23% of agriculture related to greenhouse emissions. So, and how is this that producing meat has an impact in greenhouse emissions is because for the agriculture. The agriculture induced changes in land use, especially deforestation. So when we deforestate a place, we leave a land without the trees, and the trees function like as a receptor for the gases. And if we cut all the trees, we're gonna increase the gas emissions. Also, a fact, um, un dato is that 31% of methane emissions are generated from energetic fermentation, primary cows, and manure management. So this means that also why producing meat generate increased gas emissions is because of the excrement of the cows and the management of this excrement to become a compost, to do compost. Another benefit or another important fact that we have to take in consideration for reducing meat consumptions is the land use. This is wrong, sorry. Produce crops increase environmental degradation day by day. Agriculture alone is responsible for fully 10 to 12% of global gas emissions. One study calculates that each kilogram of beef requires 163 times more land use than 1 kilogram of rice or 1 kilogram of potatoes. So if you see this difference, you can imagine the big impact that producing 1 kilogram of meat have in comparison of producing something like potatoes or rice that is something that we all have. Furthermore, livestock farming use 70% of agricultural land overall and a third arable land. As such, it plays a major role in CO2 release and biodiversity loss from deforestation. So as the same as we talk about gas emissions and land use, both have in common that The deforestation is something that has become, because if you want to use the land for producing meat and producing food for the cows or the sheep that can they can grow and you use the meat, you have to to have a lot of crops. So you're gonna use a very large extensions of the land, and you have to cut out of all of the trees. So this also increase, like we say, the gas emissions. And it also mentioned another point here, no, that is the loss of biodiversity, that we can see a lot of that in, for example, in the east side of the country. And the last benefit, or the last benefit, the last point that the article mentioned that is important to take in account for reducing meat consumption is the water footprint. Livestock farming use finite irrigation water to supply the increasing demand for livestock products. Producing each kilogram of consumable beef requires about 13 kilograms of grain and 30 kilograms of hay, which in turn require 100, 105 point, no, sorry, 1,400 of water. Furthermore, 500 or 2,000 liters of water that are required to produce 1 kilogram of crop. So if we see the difference also here, it's almost 3 times what we need to produce beef for in comparison of what we need to produce a crop. So it is reported that animal production accounts for 12% of all groundwater and surface water used for irrigation. Therefore, the total water footprint equals 29% of the global agricultural production. And one study determined that a diet containing a lower volume of livestock products will result in reduced global water consumption. So, as I said at the beginning, I choose the omnivorous diet like the best option, but with the recommendation to reduce meat consumption. A sustainable diet is one with production that has little environmental impact, is protective and respectful of biodiversity and of ecosystem, and is nutritionally adequate, safe, healthy, culturally acceptable, and economically affordable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Okay, there you go. So again, this is something that was well structured. You have everything, even the question and so on. I'm copying and pasting the information as always in the chat, but is the things that I'm saying, Andrea. There you go. I'm going to be asking some things to verify some information, but there you go, right? You had the introduction, the question, the answer. You clearly said, right, which one do you think it was better. But it's interesting because in the development you were mentioning many more things, which is good, right? Which is good because you are not showing only perhaps things to support your idea, but you're also showing some other facts and to see, right, which one is going to be the best. And perhaps we have to learn from many other things as well. The benefits or reasons, yes, indeed, you were talking about the difference, right, comparing, for example, livestock and crops, right, the amount of land that they could need and the things that are going to be positive or negative for each one. And lastly, you had a conclusion, right, that was very concrete, but you had it. Now, here goes my first question, and actually, I haven't stopped this one, sorry, the clock. Okay, it's a stop. So, first, I have also some corrections that I didn't read over there. As you can see, very few. It was good in what you were saying, right? You can say I have some information or I have a fact, and you can talk about on that, as you were saying, right? The second one, a very large extensions, right? Instead of that, just very large extensions, right? And no, the A is going to be not needed over there. The second one, the third one, sorry, is going to be determined, right? Is going to be determined. And the last one that I didn't write over there is the word adequate, right? Adequate, which was pronounced a little bit different. Then you have those, all right? A fact, very large extensions, determined, and adequate. With that, we have everything over there. I think this was really interesting. Now I'm going to give some time to, well, to listen to the questions of your partners. This time again, please, I'm going to ask Viviana to start with a question for Andrea.
Yes. Hi, Andrea. As your own diet, you choose this kind of sustainable diet, and it is hard and it is expensive.
I don't eat meat actually because I don't eat meat like years ago, like 12 or 15 years ago. But if I could return the time, I would eat meat, but little, not a lot, just like 1 or 2 times a week. But I don't eat meat right now, so I try to eat other things. And actually, it hasn't been difficult for me because if you put in my plate everything else, I eat everything that you give me, but not the meat. So I think it's like eating any food. If you have a plate with eggs or a salad or potatoes, you can, I mean, that's your meal. You get used to not see the meat in your plate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And Annalise, please, one more question for Andrea.
Okay, Andrea, how would you make people change their diet for one that is more environmentally friendly?
That's why I choose like the omnivorous diet over the vegetarian diet because I think you can say to a person, don't eat it anymore. You can eat it because it's bad, but you can say to a person, try to reduce your consumption of meat. You can eat it maybe if you eat all day or every day, you can eat it 4 days a week. So only reduce your consumption of meat.
Okay,
Thank
there you
you.
go. Perfect. So one more last comment that I'm going to make on your presentation before going to Viviana's. I think your conclusion is really, really interesting, Andrea, really, really interesting. I think we can work with that. We can work with your idea. And the idea that you're telling us, right, that perhaps you could have changed that and you would eat meat perhaps twice a week, but you would do it. And it's interesting because you are not being radical as some people are, right? They are telling you you have to stop eating meat, and that's the only way we're going to help the planet, the environment, and everybody, and so on, right? But what you're telling us and using interesting facts and information is that, of course, even having these lifestyles, if you want to, right, consume and keep consuming meat, is going to have a big impact, right, in terms of the environment. It's very, very harming in terms of how much extension, right, of land you need for that, how much water you're going to need for that. So there's a lot of things that are negative in those terms. And what you're saying is that perhaps you don't need to eliminate that. Perhaps you can keep that in a minimum, right, amount. You can keep eating meat. You can keep producing those things to consume meat, but in a fewer, right, or in a little amount that is going to be for vegetables and so on. So the choice that you, well, chose is really interesting, which is the omnivorous one, which is a mixture, right, a merge between eating vegetables and so on, and of course cereals, etc., and the one that is saying that also eat meat, but in little portions. All right, I find that really interesting. I don't know if you have any more final questions or concerns, Andrea, to finish with your presentation now.
No, Jose Luis, thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So let's continue with Viviana, and we're going to finish with that. Please try to, at the end of the presentation, Andrea and Annelise, you're going to ask a question to Viviana.
Hi, teacher. I was suffering because my computer was updating and until
Oh, all right, don't worry.
now it's all ready. So I will share my screen.
Great, perfect.
Please.
Y la platita, la gastamos en 170 canchas, de 170.000 dólares cada una. Y nos fuimos a la mierda. Y los hospitales no funcionaban.
I don't know why I can share this page.
Okay, there you go. It's loading. Apparently, it's loading. It says that you started sharing. Yes, well, I can see your camera, and it says that you started using well, you can start sharing your screen, but it's like loading. It's not showing anything yet. Okay, there you go. Now it's on the screen.
It's my presentation.
Yes, it is. Well, what style of dance is better, right?
Yes, and now you can see.
Yeah, it's a full screen.
Okay. Okay, I can't see myself. It is okay. So I can start.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, teacher. Hi, classmates. Today, my question is, what style of dance is better? And this is a point of view like a dancer. So I will choose between two options, that is ballet and contemporary. I will choose contemporary based on the thing that it is a more complete technique for the dancers, because these have three benefits that I will show you later. First of all, the first benefit is the improvisation thing. The improvisation thing, it refers that this contemporary gives the freedom to the dancers of exploring with their bodies. So this make a new movements and a new kinds of steps, right? So this is the first benefit that for me the contemporary gives the dancers, and it is really beneficially because this improvisation especially gives more knowledge of the body to the dancers, because if you can improvise and can do some things new with your body and not all the same straight steps that the ballet has, you with the time will have more control of your body like a dancer. And for the choreographer, it is beneficial too, because the contemporary, from my point of view, the contemporary choreographies are the most interesting and the most completed one, because it is not only a picture, it is not only that the choreographer has to see or show beautiful things, it has to tell something, and the body always is different. It's not the same in every performance. So this is the first benefit. Additionally, I want to show the second benefits that for me is the partner. The partner is when two dancers are exploring with their bodies. In ballet, we have like the same structures, and always the male dancer has to lift up the female dancer. So that's like making a structure, because all the ballet and the classicals performance are for romance and and on like classical plays too. So always we have the male, the male part that show strongs, and the female that show always sweetest things. This is changing in nowadays, but when we talk about the contemporary, we have like especially thing with the partner, because we can see in the pictures how the female and the male are like mixing each other. They are not a strong role in the partnering. So that is really interesting, and that gives two things to the dancers. That gives confidence, because normally the classical dancers, the males classical dancers are like so tough. Like when you want to dance with him, they are like not. They are not releasing the body. They are not put all his weight on you, because that is the main of point. If I want to lift out someone, he or her have to give me all her weight. So this on the contemporary gives you like a dancer for all the different styles. It gives you confidence, gives you strong, and gives you like more flexibility between choosing roles. Then we have our last benefit, that is that a contemporary use an upper and lower body work. The classical dancers usually works a lot with their feet. Their feet are the first things that you see, the points that are really known in ballet, like the points. Yes, the points are like is the name. Are like really really important. This ballet start actually because many years ago a king wants to show his shoes, so he turned out his feet, and this is how the ballet the turnout position of the ballets begin. So the feet are really important in the ballet. In contrary with the contemporary that use all the body, because the contemporary use a lot of the floor, so you have to be really free with all or parts of your body, and use all your hands. Sorry, use all your hands to get up from the floor. So this, like an dancer, it doesn't matter if you are like a jazz dancer or a ballet dancer. If you took contemporary, your body will be more free to move in different levels, not just only up. You can be in the middle and in the floor, and that means that all your body will be prepared for that. Your feet and your chest and your hands. That's why the upper and lower body works is essential for the dancers. For example, Pina Bausch, that the picture of the second picture in the left is a performance by Pina Bausch, but one of the dances by Pina Bausch. That is one of the main representatives of this contemporary style. So she said that the contemporary is like life. She used natural movements. So that is another fact that is really interesting. Finally, I want to conclude my presentation, resuming why I choose a contemporary like the best technique in dance. I am a jazz dancer, So that means I'm not, my specialty is not the contemporary dancer, but when I meet this person that you are seeing in the screen, it is Analia Gonzalez, that is my teacher from contemporary, from Argentina. She moves with so liberty that it was really pleasure to see her. So I want that. And you, if you go to the classes, you realize that it's not just copying the movements of hers. It's about to find your own movement and your own kind of movement, and that is was the beauty about. And I can't see it like a jazz dancer, or I think that the classical dancers can see it too, because they are always copying another body and they are always looking for being perfect, when they don't realize that the perfection is not in the copies of in our only the body. And I put a really good phrase that I from this teacher, that it is about learning to read the mind of the body. So thanks. That was my presentation.
Thank you very much, Viviana. So let me stop this one. Again, very close. We are on what I started. Yes, very close to the 10 minutes. 9 minutes, it says 55. That's great. Now, let's begin as always. And again, I'm going to remind you, there you go, your feedback in the chat. All right. And we're going to start having a, sorry, I didn't paste it yet. Mistake. And there you go. Okay, so Viviana, let's begin with this. You had everything at the beginning and the way you structure. Again, I think all of you followed this, right? The introduction, the question, the answer was clear, right? Which one is the one you were choosing? Great. In terms of the development, yes, you were talking about very interesting and important benefits. Instead of mentioning a lot, you decided to choose the most important ones, perhaps, right? And talk in a deeper way about them, right? And the conclusion, which was also showing one kind of experience, right? Because that's something that you lived. You were talking about your experience with a teacher there in Buenos Aires, I think, right? And very interesting saying that she was mentioning referred to this contemporary dance. And I think that's really great. And it helps, right? Wrapping up that idea. Okay, that was really interesting and a great conclusion. Now, I have those also things that are going to help you even improve, okay, more. Those things at the beginning are related, right? If you have plural, right, let's not use that a, right? I think some of your partners did the same. Directly new movements or new kinds of steps, right? Instead of a, you don't have to say that a, right? So new movements or new kinds of steps. That's it. Then remember that feet is the plural form, right? So you're going to say only feet, right? Because it's 1 foot and 2 feet, right? So you're going to eliminate the S over there. Then the order of the next one, this is something interesting. You said the body always is different, but the right order for this, and again, they are not going to tell you like that, but when you have the verb to be, it has to be after that verb. Okay, so the body is always, okay, different. That's going to be the thing over there. It's related to that S. Male in this case is going to be not like a noun, it's going to be like an adjective. Male is describing. So male is not going to be in plural. Okay, you're going to say the male classical dancers, right? The plural is going to be in the noun that is at the end, dancers. Then instead of really beneficially, that ly is only when you are describing a different verb. But here you're just describing an act, a thing. So it's going to be really beneficial, right? Until the L, only until the L. Then it gives you, is going to be, instead of a strong, because that's the adjective, you need to use the noun, which is a strength. Okay, strength. It gives you a strength, or gives you strength. And this one is really interesting. When you say like a dancer, it's something like similar. For example, you can say you look like a dancer or you act like a dancer. But if you're assuming your position and you want to say this as a profession, you have to do this, use as instead of like. Okay, so you have to say as a dancer, You have to know this, all right? As a dancer, you have to be like this, like that, etc., etc. All right, and that will be it. As a comment that I can make before listening to the questions that your partners are going to make, I think it's really interesting how it evolved, right? You were talking about the roles or of male and female, right? How they were defined as the stronger ones, right? And the females, as you were talking about the sweetness that they should have, and that changed, right? In this contemporary dance, you don't have those fixed roles anymore. You don't have that rigid way of expressing yourself, right? You were saying that they want to imitate, let's say, perfection, right? By doing certain movements in which everything is like set. But these contemporary dances give us the chance of doing what your teacher told you, right? I think that last saying was really important. Doing, if you can read that saying again, please, Viviana.
Yes, teacher. It is about learning to read the mind of the body.
Okay, great. So it's like letting things flow, right? What your body is feeling, what you want to express, and it's not like something that is set over there. Okay, I think that's really great. Good. So if you don't have any questions or concerns, Vivian, I'm going to give time for Andrea and Annelise so that they can ask you some questions. Okay,
Yes, I don't have questions.
great, perfect. So please, any of you, Annelise or Viviana, we're going to be finishing the class with you.
Teacher, I have a question.
Okay.
To dance this type of dance, is there an age limit to start?
No, I think that is one of the benefits of the contemporary too, because like it is so connected with your own body. You put your own limitations. Maybe if you go to a dance class, it will be difficult to follow because it will be like some things with the floor you can hit and that. But there are so many levels, and with the part of improvisation, you can start moving with your own rhythm. So I think that is not doesn't have an age, and you can start anytime.
Okay, thank you, Viviana.
Thank you. And let's finish up with you, please, Andrea. One question for Viviana.
Do you ever do some like public performance of only improvisation?
Like what? Sorry, it is really low.
Public a public performance of only improvisation.
No, I have seen it. Like, for example, when someone is reading a poetry or a play or a book, and there are like dancers that are moving with the words. It's really hard. I recently started with contemporary, so it's not my strong the improvisation part. I prefer to do with a partner maybe, but alone it's really hard for me. But there are people that are really good, and they looks like they make us look like they are easy. It is easy, but no.
Okay. All right, there you go. Thank you very much. Then we're going to be finishing with this. Now, the last thing that I'm going to remind you, all right, these 5 minutes, I'm going to take perhaps only 2. This is the third oral presentation. Okay, I think you did a great job. The only ones missing are Jaime and Valentina. They're going to be working at the beginning of the next class, which is Friday. And on Friday, we're going to learn the structure of the Cambridge test. Okay, again, this is if you're interested, and it can be helpful. Sometimes you think that you're not going to take any international test, but you don't know when you're going to be going abroad, right? And they're going to be asking you to show something besides, of course, speaking, something right in a paper that says that you can speak English at a certain level. So I've already taught you about the TOEFL structure. On Friday, we're going to learn how the Cambridge test works. all right? And that's also going to give us some elements, and these are the final elements that you're going to take into account for the class on a Monday. That is going to be the final presentation for you, all right? Please take that into account. Again, I'm going to show you, because not everybody was able to see that. I'm going to share the parameters that I was evaluating today. And it's going to be something very similar, but actually I'm going to be evaluating like 6 things on Monday. Here it was only the introduction, right? The body and the conclusion. How you did it, if it was a question, if you got the answer, and so on and so forth. 5 for pronunciation, extra points, and 5 for asking questions to your partners. All right? Here time no text. But on Monday, as I'm telling you, you're going to have at least 5 parameters in green, or 6, that are going to be the body. Well, the structure is going to be only 1. Then you're going to be paraphrasing, not using Spanish, right? Vocabulary, and all those things that we've been learning. That's going to be evaluated in the last presentation. And remember that this time is going to have effects. It's going to be 15 minutes. And again, more or less the parameter is going to be like this. If you are like 20 seconds before those 15 minutes, it's going to be like half a point or 1 point less for that. All right, more or less is going to work in that way. So I'm going to be asking you to respect that time this time, and it's going to be the same. If it's more than 20 seconds, let's say 15 minutes and 21 seconds and ahead, it's also going to affect negatively. All right, so please try to prepare a presentation in which you use the 15 minutes. It can be 15 minutes and 20 seconds, or 15, 19 seconds before or after that specific time. All right, do you have any final questions or comments? Please let me know. If not, as always, I'm going to ask you to please fill this form. Again, this time and in these classes, you are the ones who are preparing this, but if you can fill that out, and we can finish the class.
Teacher, so it's had really exactly 15 minutes, right? The final.
Exactly. The parameter is going to be like 20 seconds. If it's 20 seconds less, if more than 20 seconds less, it's going to affect your score. If it's more than 20 seconds, it's going to affect your score. So you have that bridge. You can speak 15 or 19 seconds more, or you can speak 15 to 19 seconds less. But if it's more than that, it's going to affect the score. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Great.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye.